Last year, I had developed a very bad habit of snacking. I had lost all self-control and I couldn't resist anything that was sweet or crunchy. What started as overeating every 4 or 5 days turned into something I do every evening, and even though I was still very consistent at the gym, I was still noticing my belly piling up. I was becoming more miserable and more depressed. That's until earlier this year when I decided I was gonna quit sugar forever. But you see, to be able to do something of this size, you first need to get your mind behind it. You first need to mentally commit before the action becomes possible or even sustainable. It's like saying you want her to be your girlfriend, but you keep liking all of those other girls' posts and Instagram stories. Well, it doesn't work that way. You first need to make a deal with your mind that you really want this relationship, and once you conclude what is it that you really want, then you can move forward. Then your actions become more natural, unforced. You get more involved, you care about her, you want her to be happy, you want her to smile, etc., etc. That's how you quit sugar. That's how I was able to quit sugar. I concluded that sugar wasn't good for me. It was doing me more harm than good. So I decided that I was gonna take a step back. I felt like crap after overeating. I felt like I was under some sort of narcotics. My mind was not at the right place. I was making stupid decisions. I was acting up. I was literally shaking when I was craving sugar. It was terrible. I was at constant war with myself. Then on March 13th, thanks to a close friend of mine, Bojan, and thanks to Dr. Paul Saladino, I decided that I was gonna cut all ties with sugar and I was going to transition to whole foods altogether. The game plan was simple. I had a serious sugar addiction, and if I just removed every bit of sugar I was consuming overnight, it would backfire. I knew this because I was struggling with this for a very long time, and I've tried many things in the past, one of which is this. What I would do is go on without sugar 4 or 5 days, and then on the 5th, 6th day, I'd snap and eat like 500-600 grams of sugar in one sitting. So that really wasn't a viable option for me. So what I did was, whenever I had a sugar craving, instead of the usual cookies or a donut, I'd go for dates or honey. And I know some of you are gonna yap in the comments, but Evan, dates still contain a lot of sugar. Well, shut up, Joe. I quit sugar and you're still convincing yourself that dates are as equally bad as donuts and honey. It doesn't work that way. In fact, many people get this mistakenly, but let me explain something to you. Let's take this banana for an example. You see, bananas, they do contain a lot of sugar. It's true. However, they contain fiber and other antioxidants. So when you consume this banana, pectin is released, which forms a gel-like layer on the inside of your intestines, slowing the absorption of sugar, which essentially means a steadier release of energy that makes you fuller for longer. This means this banana is not as bad as you think it is. This goes the same for bananas, dates, apples, and basically any other fruit you can possibly think of. So no, you cannot compare dates, banana, or any other fruit with cookies or your donuts. It's disrespectful, sir. So now, even though I was still consuming a lot of sugar, I was feeling a lot better about myself, mostly because that sugar was coming from a natural source. And even though I still felt miserable after overeating on half a kilo of dates, I would wake up the following morning, go to the bathroom, take a dump, and immediately feel better. Because fruits are obviously a fast digesting food, so they get off your system pretty quickly. But cookies and donuts, on the other hand, take much longer. They would make me feel miserable for days, and then I would get furious at myself, punish myself, and this really damaged me mentally. And this went on for a couple of months. Eventually I got tired of just snacking on dates, so I decided that I was gonna start cooking, and I started cooking a lot, and I put honey on pretty much everything that I cook. I would do beef mince with some berries on top, and then I would drizzle honey all over it. I had this other combo where I fry a banana, scramble 5-6 eggs, slice up 2 kiwis, and then soak everything up in honey. I even ate my chicken with honey. And I know this might sound ridiculous to some, however, it has really helped me satisfy my sweet tooth, and this is what helped me move to what I would like to call the next stage of my journey. Having all of these different meal options that still satisfied my sweet tooth really allowed me to move away from binging on dates. In the mornings, I'd wake up, have my fried eggs and banana, and then for lunch, I would have meat with a ridiculous amount of honey, and then for dessert, I would make a Greek yogurt bowl where I put banana, protein powder, berries, honey, and then sometimes I'd add a fourth meal of the day. However, by the time I'm at that third one, my cravings are pretty much zero. I'm not thinking about food. I'm literally having zero sugar cravings. Now, I'm not sure if this was because of the substantial protein intake or the amount of sugar I was consuming throughout the day. However, it worked. Overeatings became less frequent, and for the first time ever, I felt like I had 100% control over my sugar desires. Just to be aware, I offer my help to anybody who wants to make a change in his life. I help people overcome their bad addictions, just like I did with sugar. I charge $700. Some will say it's a lot, some won't. But if you think that's a price worth paying to overcome your addiction that's been controlling you, then please reach out to me or sign up. There's a link for that too in the description. When summer came around, this was May, June, I was already 3 months into my journey, and I was pretty familiar with the process by now, and things got a lot easier. I knew exactly how to handle my cravings. I knew the exact meal rotation I had to go through to satisfy my sweet tooth. However, the biggest change was mentally. I just accepted the reality that I was never gonna have a Snickers bar ever again in my life. At first, I had this nostalgia effect a bit because I was never gonna have the chance to taste my favorite chocolate candy. However, that chapter was done. Finito, completed. Stick with this long enough and you will understand that bananas and apples and dates are gonna become your new version of candy. And they are gonna taste incredible, because a year ago, I would have said it was impossible. However, now they taste incredible. They're pretty much my favorite. I enjoy whenever I'm having a banana. So yeah, just stick with it long enough and you would be surprised by the effect it's gonna have on you. In my case, I went from eating 2.5 bags of dates to just eating a few dates throughout the entire week. I used to overeat every evening. Now that doesn't even happen at all. Honestly, I've never been happier. I've battled sugar pretty much my entire life, and now I can finally say I have overcome this addiction. I had to rewire my brain. It was very difficult at first. I'm gonna lie if I say it wasn't, but it was possible. And I know it's gonna sound cliche, but if I did it, you can too. If you're curious about the other 2 things I did besides quitting sugar to burn off all the fat and get in great shape, I believe you'd find this video of significance.